Hello YouTube and welcome back to GrunfWorks. This is episode 3 of the Interplanetary Voyage of Exploration. In the last episode we had a tragedy. One of my Kerbals has accidentally, on landing, completely disintegrated. Together with the plane and all science in it. This has caused me a decision to focus a little bit now on using the probes until we get some sufficient science so that we can actually make our first steps into space. And as you can see, I have started to build a new probe whose sole purpose is to get into space. So you can see me a little bit going and assembling, putting various details such as parachutes and other stuff on this probe. And for the time being we're not yet shooting for the orbit per se, but we are more aiming just to get it to the brink of space and then past that brink and hopefully get us some sweet science from that region. However, we first have to, design the probe, test the probe and see that everything works. So I want to basically load it as much as I can with an experiments and take a few incremental steps towards getting to the space. So right now let's put a couple of mystery goos. Let us put a barometer. We only need one because this is a repeatable experiment. I'm just disabling the symmetry, coming a little bit closer because I want to be a little bit precise in terms of putting it. Then seismic experiment, because why not? And then on the other side we can put the maybe even a thermometer, why not? And then on the other side we can definitely put a gravioli, and I think that's pretty much it. This atmospheric sensor is not really made so it can be fitted there. Yeah, nah, this wouldn't exactly fit, so we'll leave it for now. Let's put remote tech antenna so that we can control the craft. I'm just trying to put it somewhere towards the edge so it doesn't exactly clip into the parachute too much. Yeah, well this would be fine. Okay, and yeah, let's put thermometer on the other side. I mean, I think those are massless parts, or they weigh very little, so we don't need to worry. And let's just name our probe. So yeah, mini science probe Mark 1. Easy, simple. And now let us put some decoupler. Come to think of it, I actually might put a smaller tank underneath just for kicks, just to make it lighter. And then we want to put the decoupler underneath and a couple of fuel tanks to make sure that it actually goes somewhere. I'm doing that while constantly monitoring the delta P. So let's see. Our thrust to weight is 3.06, which is actually more than enough, and our delta V is 1900, which is definitely not enough to get us into orbit, but it is sufficient to get us somewhere. So yeah. I also decided to increase our building rate, and this is what it looks like at the moment. It's quite small, quite simple, but yeah. So So let us go ahead and build it. Okay, so let us see. It will be 14 days until it's built, so just warp to the actual complete. And looks like it will be daytime. Perfect. Note that also we have gathered a little bit of science while we were doing so. Our scientists are working tirelessly to make sure that this gets done, which is so nice of them. So let's roll it out and warp again until we roll out the vessel. Okay, and now it's on the pad, and while we're doing so we might scrap the remnants of the plane, which perished in such an unfortunate incident. Okay, so we have 18 science, and we will definitely be getting some more when we launch this vessel. Like I said, the goal is definitely not for the orbit, because 1900 is way too low for it. But what I'm trying to, or what I'm hoping for, to get to the brink of space and maybe past it. So, and also we have a bunch of stuff that we want to collect. Some data and stuff. So let's see, gravity scan, mystery goo, seismic scan, and mystery goo observation. Yeah. The goo doesn't seem to be doing much right now. Go figure. Okay, SAS on, and let us lift off. So this is pretty much a standard launch, not too much in terms of delta V, some stability. I'm carefully banking to one side just to make sure that FAR does not flip my my rocket too much on ascent, because that could become a problem. So just thrusting upwards, and our apoapsis is okay, passing 15. Let's see how much we can get up with this amount of delta V. I'm pretty sure we can get into space with this one. So just I want to toggle auto collect to make sure that all the experiments are properly emptied, so we can keep on collecting as we pass each milestone. Okay, now we have atmospheric pressure scan. It reads 3. Funny. Oh well, they can figure it back in the KSC. I think it was -3. Degree seems to be getting... Okay, that one I didn't see. Let's see, temperature, slightly cooler. By the way, I'm using the communal science logs, and so it's a little bit different than what the stock says. And definitely we will be going to space with our apoapsis being 153 kilometers, which is very nice because we will be able to get science from space near Kerbin. We will not be gathering science from space far from Kerbin, because I think that's around 250, I think. So gravity. You happily munch on the snack while performing gravity scan over grasslands. Temperature. Seriously, want to know the temperature now? We're in space, who cares? And you happily munch on snack. Yeah, that one we already read. Cool, so we have definitely gathered some science from space. And I'm just gonna hit a little bit of time acceleration, 120. I think we have passed another biome. gravity scan. The gravitational field is rather strong in these mountain ranges, so it's gravity from Kerbin's mountains. So while we still have a control and connection to the KSC, I will arm the parachute because I am guessing on descent down we will either run out of connection, so we will be passing it, or we will run out of electric charge, which now seems even more plausible. So yeah, we will no longer be able to control the craft on descent, and we have run out of power. As you can see, we have no connection to the KSC, so we are pretty much in the hands of the gravity and armed parachutes, hopefully. Okay, we're coming back to the atmosphere, so now it's just watching as the time flies and hope that we have correctly armed the parachutes. Otherwise, there's not much more what we can do. But then again, this is a probe anyway, and yes, the purpose of the probes is not to get Kerbals killed. One casualty was enough for the previous episode, so let us... that's why we are kind of focusing on the probes right now, and I think it's a valid case because we are playing with remote tech and it only makes sense that we use the probes. Once we have established that the probes are doing successfully and everything is fine, we will for sure be sending Kerbals both into space and into orbit. So, passing 7,000 meters as we're descending, our surface velocity is still high, but I expect this to change as the parachute gets fully deployed around 700 meters, somewhere around here. Yes, and it got deployed. And now we see the surface velocity dropping down to 5.9, which is definitely much more acceptable, and hopefully this should be enough not to destroy my engine cone. I mean, we're playing a science save, so we don't need to care as much about the funds, but still no need to waste funds when necessary. So, let us recover the vessel. And let's see how much science we've got. Wow, 140 total, so we have earned 121.6 science. Nice. Lots of different experiments. Done and close. So let us just check mark this and let's go to R&D. So let's see what we want to uncover. Basic electrics, definitely. We need the solar panels, we need the batteries. Basic support. Let's see the alternatives. Radiation, moisture analyzer. Well, I'm not exactly sure about these. Basic communication, not there yet. This will become more important as we build our satellite network, but basic support, I don't think it's too much expensive, but it's very valid. And scanners, this is for the scan set, which I definitely want to have. Radiation, let's do this. And telescope, so it opened the way to the telescopes, which we definitely want to do. Material base still too expensive. I'm kind of leaning towards basics construction because it gives us fuel lines. Yeah, definitely go with it. And landing support, parachutes, radial ones, basic communication. Liquid fuel tanks, well, that might be useful because we do want bigger fuel tanks as opposed to the SRBs, which I don't find very useful at the moment. Cockpits are too expensive. Wings, that might be a possibility. So, basic life support. That we will definitely need before we start flinging Kerbals into space. More probes, heat shields. Well, I'm not playing with deadly reentry, so I don't need it. Wings, landing gear, or air intakes. Well, if we continue the planes, I would almost go for the air intakes, but I'm kind of weighing that against something that I can use more quickly, especially for the probe program. Or wings. Let's go for wings. Well, that didn't get us very far now, did it? Well, we needed to unlock it to get to the better ones anyway, so yeah. Not maybe the smartest choice, but definitely things that we need to do eventually. So yeah, and this we will also need if we want to fling cacti solar array, so we will need that for the telescopes. My kind of reasoning is, first we start doing suborbital flights, then we put a thing into an orbit, then we try to discover the planets around, maybe fling a telescope or communication network, and then we will probably go towards other planets as we discover them, so like moons like Moon, Minmus and stuff around. So now we want to use our newfound science to add another experiment to our probe, and we will just probably put it to side, and let's see, drill surface. Yeah, it flings long enough so that we can collect some science. Cool. Then we might want to put it in double symmetry since it will be sticking outside. Okay, otherwise we don't have any new science, but we do have a communitron, which should hopefully give us a little bit more power or a little bit longer connection time. And if I recall correctly, I did put some batteries and I did unlock some solar panels, which is definitely meaning that we can hold our electric charge much longer and that we can actually regenerate power while we are away. So let us see if I can stick a couple of these somewhere. Like 2 of them. And then probably some solar panels. I don't want to be putting the folding ones, so I'm kind of thinking maybe 4 panels placed at 45 degrees, something like that. That should hopefully provide us with enough electric charge that we can perform even experiments in space and deploy things in space, etc, etc. So now, when we come think of it, we only were able to come in the space near. So now we would like to go to the space far. So 2 more fuel tanks. We still have 2.23 thrust to weight and now 3000 definitely. So let us put action groups, custom 1. We put toggling the communitron and yeah, abort, just decouple and parachutes, I guess, and arm parachutes. I mean, I haven't previously used, so let's say Mark 1B, because it's not a big revolution, it's more an evolution of the concept. It's still a suborbital probe, but this one is designed to go higher than the previous one, hopefully bringing back data from space high above Kerbin, which should provide us with enough science to unlock all new, fun and interesting content. Once again, it will take us 3 days to recondition the landing pad. I just wanted to double check that that we are using correctly the Kerbal construction time. Yes, everything is fine, so let us warp to complete. So first we have to recondition the launching pad. So this is one downside from the launch pad versus the runway. Runway you can reuse immediately, but the launch pad you need to recondition because of the damage done from the exhausts from all those rockets. And we still have some 10 days or 11 days to build the actual science probe, so some parts will be reused so it can be faster, but still we need to well, refurbish everything and continue onwards. So okay, and alarm clock telling us that we are more or less ready, but we need to roll out things to the we need to roll out the probe to the launch pad. Okay, and we will be more or less ready to launch, so let's do it. By the way, I said this before, but nonetheless, if you would like to be included in the save or named as a Kerbal, please do state in the comments below your name and your profession which you would like to be, and I will try to accommodate that. So, new experiments. X-ray diffraction scan. The drill cannot impact the surface from this distance. Yeah, it only makes sense because we are so high up. Oh well, we can always do it on the way down. Okay, SAS, full thrust. And let us now make sure that we collect all data and toggle auto collect. This is just a precautionary measure because if the ship gets disassembled halfway, all the science will be stored at the core, probe core, which is kind of the point of collecting the science, so they're not tied in each experiment. Let's just call it's kind of an advanced version of trying to collect every single piece, and it's much more simpler for the gameplay because you don't need to EVA Kerbals when you get them later and collect each piece individually. I just find it to be a little bit too grindy for my taste. And now we're kind of passing 10,000 meters, and our apoapsis is being over 21. I just want to make sure that I'm monitoring what my experiments when they come up, and we don't really need to bother. We're just going more or less vertically up, just angling slightly towards east to make sure that we end up somewhere different. Whether or not we will end up in water or not, well, at this point I don't really care that much, as the main goal is definitely to get the science from the space high above Kerbin. So our apoapsis is passing 100 with 1200 delta V to spare, which is more than promising. So first stage spent, and with second stage we definitely are going way above what we need, so around 438 I decided to just cut the power because there is no point. So gravity scan. As you activate the gravity scanner, you wonder what sorts of effects oceans might have on it. Mystery goo. The goo seems to have dumped into the sphere. It also have become brittle. So that's goo from space around Kerbin. I wonder, didn't I got it last time? Nonetheless, we have deployed our Communitron to make sure that we stay connected to the KSC, because this time we will be going 400 kilometers up and the range for the smaller antenna is 500, so we would be kind of, if Kerbin starts to rotate, we could easily have gone out of range of the smaller antenna, which is definitely not something we want to do. So a little bit of time warp as we come high up, and here we go. Now let us see. Gravity scan. Your gravity scan high over Kerbin's water ends much like your other gravity scans, with a delicious snack. Definitely. I don't know how probes could have a snack, but Mystery Goo observations while Mystery Goo in Badlands seems like a bad combination to you. Rather opening Pandora's box, you forgo experiment and let them figure it out in the KSC. Okay. Okay, and let us arm the parachutes. Technically we don't need to do that as yet, but, well, why the hell not? It will not deploy anyway before we get to the atmosphere. So we're still on the way up, and Kerbin looks really beautiful from this height. By the way, I'm using the Astronomer's Pack Beta, so it's not interstellar, and it's not, it's definitely not the Sonic Galaxy spec, which was way before, so this is something in the middle. But I found it to be looking really nice. And here is my map overlay freaking out, so I just disable it. It's something that I was thinking on using for the resource scan, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna use it. It also highlights biomes, which is useful, but yeah, I'll have to think about it. I'm not overly crazy about that mod at the moment. It's still kind of a matter of convenience. Coming back to the atmosphere, and I definitely want to retract the antenna, because otherwise it would break and snap off. Good thing that I'm not using that re-entry, because at this point my probe would have been very toasty, and my parachutes would become equally as toasty. It will be a whole new story once 1.0 come out, and they have already announced it's 6 days since I did this recording, so 6 days from the date of the recording will be out. So maybe by the time you view it, 1.0 might already be out. So we'll see. Basically, the only reasoning for me not playing with the deadly re-entry is I'm already playing with so many mods that makes things more realistic and harder. You got tech life support, you got remote tech, you got FAR, you got Dang It, you've got Kerbal construction time. So many potential for fun and emerging gameplay. I just thought deadly re-entry would make my life miserable in terms of aero braking, which is definitely something I want to do and explore a little bit more, so I was trying to find the right balance. Once 1.0 come out, I will definitely be playing with the heat management, although some light averting. I really don't want it to pay attention to every single detail. So, gravity scan from Kerbin's water, keep the data and atmospheric pressure. Yeah, okay, so some more sweet science, and let us recover this probe, and that will be for the episode. If you like the episode, please do like the episode, and for more and future updates, hit that subscribe button. Thank you again for watching. This is GrunfWorks signing off.